some players to watch in Patriots training camp. I don't think Duggar or Onwenu's getting cut, but those are two guys that have gotten big contracts in recent history and need to step up. When it comes to training camp, which starts next week, the biggest player to watch for me, and maybe this is a lazy take, but I think it's true, is Drake May. Because for all they've done this offseason, I think they've had a very good offseason.
Yeah.
And it's obviously received a lot of praise, not just locally, but nationally. You see these 10, 11, 12 even win projections. That, maybe I can't speak for everybody, but myself, I had them at they should win, not they will win. They should win 10 games. Part of that assumption is Drake May makes the year two leap. If Drake May doesn't get better in year two, and that's a fair expectation. That's not something that you're hoping to have. That's something you're expecting to have. If Drake May gets better in year two, that's realistic. If you don't get that significant jump from Drake May, you're not getting to 10 wins. You're still probably going to win more than 4. You'll improve over last year. I don't think you're sniffing 10. You're going to be clawing to get to 500 or around 500. So, and I think we'll know pretty early. I think we'll know pretty early when it comes to Drake May. He had obviously that rough start in the spring, 4 interceptions in the first practice. The first open practice was looking good by the end when we were seeing practices more regularly, looked more comfortable in Josh McDaniels' offense. But we don't need contact to see, is he making better decisions? Does he look like he has command of the offense? Is he accessing parts of the field he maybe wasn't accessing as much last year? Where's his chemistry with these receivers? And that'll obviously build over the course of camp, but as opposed to maybe the offensive line, which we need to see in pads to truly evaluate, I think we'll get an answer on Drake May relatively quickly. So, again, the quarterback's the player to watch. Great take, Barth. Good insight. It is. He just is. I think he's the number one player to watch this summer.
You hit it at the end. It all comes down to Will Campbell for me. I do expect Drake May to take that second-year jump. I do. And like you said, that's fair. With his offensive coordinator, with the foundation of the skill set we saw. But Will Campbell's a guy to watch. Not that can he start. Can he play left tackle? Because if he cannot, guess who it is? Vidarian Lowe, Caden Wallace, DeMontre Jacobs on the blind side of Drake May. We'll have to wait for pads to come on.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait for the season to begin. I expect them to give him the leash of the baptism by the fire. He's a starting left tackle week 1. I expect that to happen. The only way that doesn't is if it's an absolute travesty.
I would be massively concerned if he doesn't at least get week 1.
And guess what? If that happens, then this season is a wrecking ball.
Yeah, they're
right
in
now.
huge trouble.
That whole offensive line, Will Campbell at left tackle, the undersized wingspan that he has, if he succeeds as a left tackle long-term in the NFL, let alone he can just be one for his rookie season, he will be such an anomaly of a prospect in the best way possible.
See, this is where I have to put, he won't be that much of an anomaly because the combine measurement was wrong.
What was his wingspan?
At the combine, it was 32 5/8.
Wingspan, not
wingspan.
arm length.
So here's the thing about wingspan.
Wingspan matters at left tackle.
I never once heard somebody talk about wingspan until it started coming up that his arm measurement was wrong. And these same people who they want their shiny new toy, they want a skill position player, they can't deal with drafting a lineman. They needed something else to grab onto. So now it was his wingspan's too short. Look, I'm not saying it's a zero factor. I had never once heard somebody I'd heard arm length for tackles as long as I've been doing this. I'd heard arm length for tackles. I'll give you that one. I think that matters. I think it can be overcome, but I think it matters. You have to evaluate the player differently. I never once heard somebody bring up wingspan in relation to tackles until this year. And really until people started coming around on Campbell's arms actually being 33 inches in the NFL screwing up.
Yeah.
I've heard wingspan for receivers. I've heard wingspan for corners. I've even heard it for quarterbacks, because sometimes with quarterbacks you want shorter arms because a longer arm, the actual throw takes longer, right? You have more distance to cover. I had never heard it for linemen until after the combine this year.
Joe Tooney, 79-inch wingspan.
Yep.
Skoronski, 79.5-inch. Gray Zabel, 77.5-inch. Gray Zabel's in this draft.
Yeah.
Will Campbell, 77 3/8-inch wingspan. Trevor Sikkema of PFF put this out. Shortest wingspan of any offensive tackle at a combine since 2011. Now, Tristan Wirfs, 34-inch arms. 80-plus inch wingspan. Rashawn Slater, 33 on the dot. 80 and an 1/8-inch wingspan. Kelvin Banks, 33.5, 84-plus inch.
But if you get to the point where your arm's wide out, You've already
effed
lost.
either way.
You've already lost. So it should, I'm sure we can go. Here's the thing. Is there correlation there? Go find me the hand size measurements for the kickers. And see if, I'm serious. Go find me the hand size. Did the guy with the smallest hands who was a kicker, have a horrible career? And maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I understand that, but
a longer wingspan, there is a point of how difficult is it to get around you. Can you buy your quarterback 2.5, 3 seconds? And that's where the wingspan and the size matters. Like Ante Ursary, shorter arms for what you'd expect for someone of his stature, but he has that longer wingspan.
So again, I
bring up Tooney and Skoronski, especially left tackles kicked inside.
I just think if it really mattered, we would have heard more about it in recent years.
And that's fair on the other end.
The arm length thing I've heard. And I believe, and there's, again, if your arms are stretched all the way wide out, you've already lost. If he's losing because of his wingspan, he's not losing because of his wingspan. He's losing because his technique is messed up. Part of the reason he's as effective as he is with the shorter arms, not disqualifyingly short, but short. And this is where I say arm length matters, because you look at the player differently. Okay, how does he compensate? There are guys with long arms who don't know how to use their length too, right? He's really good footwork. He's quick. He's agile. He's fast to get out to that edge. So he can push the rusher back, even if he maybe doesn't have the reach. So I'm not going to call him a unicorn. I guess if you want to, fine. I'm not going to call him a unicorn because of the wingspan, unless we're going to call the kicker with the short hands. Or maybe it's big hands that hurt kicking, because that's more weight. You have to balance differently. I don't know.
Too long of arms, Vidarian Lowe. Long arms, doesn't know how to use them.
Right, exactly. That's what it comes down to. And Vrabel said as much at the Combine. This isn't a unique take by me. Now, look, if he had 20-inch arms, that's one thing, right? True. But 33-inch arms, I think Rashawn Slater's also 33. He's 33. He's 33. And did you get Penei Sewell's wingspan in there?
1 second. Penei Sewell, 33 and a quarter inch arms, 80 and 7/8 inch.
Okay,
wingspan.
so he's a bigger wingspan.
But that's what jumps out to me. Rashawn is 33 on the dot, 80 and an eighth of an inch. So Penei Sewell is 7/8 inch. Rashawn Slater's 80 and an inch and an eighth inch. And I understand how ridiculous the combo is, but it is. They're the guys with the short arms. What it is. And that's where he has to work at left tackle. And fine, let's go get away from the measurements, put your rulers away. A lot of people were saying, hey, that's an all-pro guard. Awesome. And I said on draft night, and I still hold it to this day, the team with the worst offensive line in football got the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Yes.
That's a good pick. But at left guard, who's their left guard, Barth? Week 1, and then who's their left guard week 8?
That's a bigger issue.
Because if it's Cole Strange, it may not be there. Is Layden Robinson going to make that leap in pass pro? Great run blocker.
Well, are they going to give him the opportunity? He was barely with the starters in the spring.
He would get benched. Yeah. And to your point, too, barely with them in the spring. The fact that there is actual serious conversations, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you are down there, you're in the trenches, you do an awesome job covering the team, that Jared Wilson is challenging Garrett Bradbury, the vet, for the starting center job. And we'll see how legit that is. Then at right guard's Mike Onwenu. And at right tackle, I love Morgan Moses. I loved his introductory presser. He's a pro. Partially, was it a sprained MCL he had last season, and he tried playing through it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
He got surgery
with his
on
knee.
that.
Yeah.
He is 34, about to be 35. He's played a lot of football. Who's the offensive line week 1? Who's the offensive line week 18? And because it became a game.
No, it did.
Before every game, first snap of offense, it's not what happens. It's who are the 5 guys out there on offense blocking for him, because that's what it was, and that spells a lot of potential trouble.
No, the continuity is a big part of it, and this was an issue for them last year. Like Dante Scarnecchia had this saying about 5 guys seeing it through the same set of eyes, and there's something to be said for, and look, injuries are going to happen, but you get the same 5 guys out there over and over and over, and they know where each other is going to be, and they can work well together. Their tackle situation's not perfect. There are questions, even arm length aside, like just being a rookie. There's natural questions that come with that with Will Campbell. With Morgan Moses, because of his age, there's natural questions with that. Do you remember what we were doing, what we were talking about this time last year with the tackles? It was, Okay, so, they drafted Caden Wallace, who's a career college right tackle, but they kind of want to move to left. But they also kind of might move Chuks Okorafor over, even though he's never played left tackle. But Mike Onwenu has to play right tackle because they paid him too much to be a guard. But then where do you put Chuks Okorafor? And is Vidarian Lowe going to factor in? And this whole time, they're starting right tackle all year. DeMontre Jacobs was a Denver Bronco. So we're so much further ahead. I was talking to Jake about this after the draft. I remember he asked me, do you think their offensive line, what do you think of their offensive line? I said, I think they're going to be significantly better. He goes, wow, they're going to be that good, huh? I said, no.
They were the worst offensive line in the league.
The gap from, and not just the worst in the league, it was historically bad. So I'm not saying they still have room to grow, and they weren't going to fix everything with the offensive line in 1 year. At least this year, going into camp, we know who the starting tackles are. And it's not this guy here, and then this guy goes here. But what if this guy kicks inside? And this guy's never played on the left side, but we're going to put him there. Right. It was a freaking mess. Real quick here, because we're up against it.
Yeah.
Player you're watching on defense.
It has to be, honestly, Harold Landry.
Okay.
Up there, you gave him a lot of money. This pass rush absolutely stunk. I like the pieces behind him. I like a Braden Swinson. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yep.
Love the interior guys with the Joshua Farmer. Lone bright spot for FSU this season. I think Keon White can take a jump. There needs to be a pass rush, especially in Terrell Williams' system. Man defense, rush for Robert Spillane cleans everything up. Harold Landry needs to be worth that contract. As Curran was talking about on Wendell Duggar, Harold Landry needs to be worth it.
Yeah, I think Keon White kind of in that same breath.
Yeah.
Right. And he's going to be going up against Campbell, so we're going to be watching a lot of him. But can he be that guy? It's a much better fit for him schematically. But the guys I'm going to be watching, I'm going to go back to Curran's clip there. Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers.
Yep.
When those two guys are both fully healthy, that's one of the best safety duos in the league.
Yeah.
Neither of them, I know Duggar had his legal stuff, even around that.
Peppers' legal stuff.
Peppers had his legal stuff. Even around that, he was never fully healthy last year. Duggar, it never felt like was fully healthy last year. He missed time this spring, still getting healthy. If those guys are full go, now you put them with Gonzalez and Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones in the slot. Like that's a real freaking secondary, man. That's a great group. If they're going to have to kind of stretch it along with those guys this year, and now it's Craig Woodson in a bigger role.
I'm excited to watch that.
It's nothing against Craig Woodson. He's a rookie. You don't know. And now it's Jalen Hawkins playing significant snaps. Marcus Epps coming
Del
off the
Pettis is getting hype.
Right. Like, if those two starting safeties are healthy, it changes a lot. So I'm going to be watching those two. Yeah, I'm going to be watching those two guys